Welcome to today's demo class. I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird. I have a little cold, so please just excuse that. Um, I guess some general rules that I want to first go over is that I want you to ask me questions. If there's anything you don't understand or you're confused about, ask me 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's okay. Okay? I am happy to answer questions and I am also happy to repeat anything. Okay? That you might not understand. And if you say that, okay, ma'am, you're talking too fast or you're talking too slowly, tell me and I will slow down or speed up accordingly. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, cool. And if there are technological difficulties and you can't hear me or you can't see my screen, just let me know. And if you can't say it, then type it in the chat box. Okay? Awesome. And also, like whenever I say something and I say, oh, is this okay? Did you understand? Say yes, no, or maybe. Okay? Because I can't tell if you actually have got it or not. This is what happens when you do virtual classes. But yeah, so these are the general rules, for this demo class and for any future classes. But I also have some other rules, like if you were to continue with me for the next few weeks, these are some other rules that we would follow in this class. So my first rule is, work hard, play hard. Like uh, whatever we're studying together, I want you to give your full attention to it. And then, if we do a fun assignment or if we're just talking, I want you to, completely enjoy yourself there too. Okay. Second thing is that if I give you an assignment, it's easier if you, type the assignment in the chat box because obviously I can't read, right, whatever you've written, but that's just that. And thirdly, so whatever we're learning together, I don't give too much homework, but I do give a little bit here and there just so that I know, you're constantly touching base with English and that you're practicing whatever we learn and cover together in class. And lastly, this is probably the most important rule for learning any language, is that if you think in the language that you are learning, it's the best way to learn the language because you get more and more, you familiarize yourself with the language. It becomes easier to get to. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So just a couple questions before we begin, like formally. Um, is uh, is English your first language or like what is your mother tongue? Just so that I.
It's actually Kannada, so my English is first language.
Okay, that's cool. So you know Kannada and English. Do you know any other languages or
In-
Hindi? Okay, that's cool. And you learn all three in school?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And oh, okay. Do you have any questions about what we've just covered?
No, it's
Okay,
complete.
cool. Cool. One last thing. So what is it that you are looking to get out of these classes with me so that I know how to tailor what I'm going to do with you?
Like understand everything. Like
No, do you mean, okay, so because I also did CBSE 10th grade, so I know, the exam pattern and what they ask you. So do you want help with the writing section, grammar, literature, or do you just,
I
or,
want some help in grammar.
okay, cool. So, well, I looked at the syllabus and most of the topics there are they're not something that can be covered in 20 minutes, but we'll try our best, okay, to go over a little bit. And so this demo class is basically going to be, a snippet or a hint of what an actual class with me would be like. So
Okay.
today we will be covering active and passive voice, okay? We've got about 20 minutes and I want to leave like a couple minutes at the end if you have any questions about like logistical or about the class in general. But can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, cool, cool, awesome. So now voice of the sentence is a very important part in English especially because there are two ways that you can go about it. Have you covered active passive voice in school?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, cool. Well, consider this a revision and then we'll go over, we'll do an exercise together. But yes, So there are two ways of saying, a sentence where there is a subject that is doing some action. Okay, so you have the active voice where the focus is on what the subject does. For example, Ram killed Ravan. Right, so Ram is the subject of the sentence. Killing is the action that was committed and Ravan is the object. Right, so the killing was done to Ravan. Okay, so and it is active voice because the focus of the sentence is Ram. Whereas passive voice, the focus of the sentence is on the action. So it is on the, okay, so it is the killing action that is focused on. So for instance, in the passive voice sentence, you've got Ravan was killed by Ram. So Ravan is the object that is now at the forefront of this sentence, and was killed is the action. That is where the focus is on. And by Ram, who is still the subject of the sentence, but is not paid that much importance because it's all the way at the end. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. And so some more examples. Now, for active voice, if you look at, okay, 1 second, I will get my mouse. Okay, cool. Can you see my mouse where it's pointing?
No?
No? Okay, give me a second. I will have to figure that out. There
Yes,
we
yeah.
go. Okay, cool. Awesome. So for active voice, can you read the first sentence, please? This sentence.
Sally drove her car off the road.
Awesome. Cool. So now Sally drove her car off of the road. So Sally is here the subject of the sentence, right? So because who is doing the driving action in this sentence?
Sally.
Sally, exactly. And so the action that is occurring is she is driving. And what is she driving? What is the object of the sentence?
Her car.
Exactly. So as you can see in active voice, the focus of the sentence is on the subject. So Sally drove her car off of the road. But whereas if you look at passive voice, it is the object that comes to the forefront. Could you read this sentence, please?
The car was driven off the road.
Exactly. And so by Sally is like, you could say by Sally, you couldn't say, it doesn't matter. Because the focus is now on the object and the action. Okay, so as you can see, the subject goes from being in the front of the sentence to being all the way at the back. And sometimes you can omit the subject altogether. Okay, but let's look at another sentence. Could you read this one, please?
The dog bit Tiny on the arm. Tiny
Awesome.
on the arm.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So over here, the subject is the dog because who is doing the biting? The dog, right? So the dog bit Timmy on the arm. Timmy here is the object because who is the biting happening to? Timmy. Exactly. And then if you look at in passive voice, Timmy was bitten on the arm by the dog. So Timmy, who is the object, right? Timmy comes to the forefront of the sentence, was bitten, so there's a focus on the object and the action, and by the dog is all the way at the end, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with active passive voice, there are three important things that you have to keep in mind, when you're trying to figure out whether a sentence is active or passive, or when you're trying to change from active voice to passive voice. Okay. So the first is you need to figure out what the subject, what the action, and what the object is. Okay. So with each sentence. Also, feel free to take any notes, or if you have any questions, feel free to say, hey ma'am, I'm confused about this, or sorry to interrupt, but what did you mean when you said this? Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. And is this pace okay for you? Would you like me to go faster, slower?
Yeah, it's proper. I'm okay with this.
Okay, awesome. But just tell me, huh? Open line of communication. That is what's most important. But yes, so with active passive voice, you need to recognize what the subject, action, and the object is. So now the action is fairly easy to recognize because it is a verb. You know what verbs are, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Could you give me a couple examples that are not on the slide of a verb? Anything, because a
I
verb is an action.
action word. So like Ram was driving a car.
Yeah, driving is an action. Exactly. You've got drink, eat, fall, sleep. right? These are all action words. So that's how you know what the action word is. Whatever is, which is a verb, which is an action word. Now the subject and the object, well, something that will tip you off about what the subject and object is are that they are nouns. You know what nouns are, right? Right? So a noun is a name, place, animal, or thing for the most part. Have you played that game in school with your friends? Name, place, animal, thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great way to learn nouns because all names, places, animals, and things are nouns, right? So it's highly likely that, so you can even see it over here. So Sally is the subject and Sally is a noun because Sally is a name. And car is the object because car is a noun and car is a thing, right? So that's a great way to figure out. Um, so that's step number one. You need to figure out what the subject, action, and object are. And how you can figure out what the subject is, you have to ask the question. So you look at the action word once you've identified that and you say, okay, so who is driving the car? So the answer to that who question is your subject. So who is driving the car off of the road?
Sally.
Sally. Exactly. So Sally is your subject. Then the object question, you have to ask, okay, so what is Sally driving? Right? So who is receiving the action? The car, right? In this sentence. Because Sally is not driving a bus. Sally is not driving a house. Sally is driving the car. So the recipient of the action is your object. So that's step one. Identify your action, subject, and object. Step two is a little more complicated because it involves tense changes, right? So for instance, what tense is this sentence in?
Uh, is it in present?
Try again.
Fast. Past.
Exactly. This is in past tense. Sally drove her car off of the road. Simple past tense. If it was in present tense, it would be Sally drives her car off the road. Okay, so tenses would be the first topic that we would cover together if you were, if you were to continue on with these classes. But cool. So now the simple past tense changes to a form of past perfect here. Okay, so the tense changes are a little complicated and we don't have time to get into all of that. But if you were to continue on these classes with me, we would totally cover all of this. But for now, okay. So another important thing with active passive is that the subject changes form. So if you see over here, so it becomes Sally drove her car off of the road to the car was driven off the road by Sally. So Sally becomes by Sally because who did it? When you switch the subject to the end, you have to add a by before that. Just like the dog bit Timmy on the arm. Timmy was bitten on the arm by the dog. Okay? So say the
Yeah.
sentence was, I drove my car off the road. So passive voice would be, my car was driven off the road by me. So I change this to by me. That's another way to find out whether a sentence is an active or passive, to look for a by in the sentence, by followed by a subject. Okay?
Yeah.
But then again, you have to be careful because some sentences can be a little tricky because if they say, like you could have a by in the sentence, but it could still be an active sentence. So that's not the only thing that you can look for, but it is one of the things that you can look for. So we becomes, could you read this please?
By us.
Exactly. You becomes,
By you.
he becomes,
By him.
she becomes,
By her and like
it
by
becomes,
her.
yes, exactly. It becomes,
By it.
and they becomes.
By them.
Awesome. Okay, so the subject, when you are transforming from active voice to passive voice, will come at the end of the sentence and it will be preceded, that is before the subject will come will come by. And the subject also, when it is, a pronoun like this, will change to the objective case of the pronoun. So I becomes me, we, us, and so on and so forth. Do you have any questions?
No.
Awesome. Okay, so now in a typical class with me, we would do an exercise together. Okay, so this is an example, and so we have 9 minutes left. So I'm only going to ask you to do the first 5. But so in this exercise, what we're going to do is, you're going to do it on your own. I'm here if you have any questions, but you are going to identify whether each of these sentences are active or passive. Okay? And so do you have a notebook with you or a paper that you
Yeah.
can note this down on? Awesome. So just note it down in your notebook. You don't have to write the whole sentence. You can just say one hyphen and you can write active or passive beside that. Okay? So just do the first 5 sentences and I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So until 11:56. But if you need more time, take more time. That's okay. But this is just for the beginning, to begin with. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to mute myself, but I'm here if you have any questions. And okay, but I want you to do it on your own, okay? So that I can get an understanding of where you are. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Mom, can you just zoom it a little more?
Yes, I have oh, wow. Can you see it now? Is this better?
Yeah, it's okay. It's better.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Just the first 5 sentences.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So read each sentence and tell me whether it's an active or passive voice. And I might have a question for you or answer or, follow-up thing, but it's fine. So read the first question and let's see.
Jack was helped by his father to do his math homework. It's like active.
Okay, why would you say it's active voice? Okay, so let's go about it a different way. So remember we talked about the subject, action, and the object, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me in this sentence, okay, first let's go action. What is the action of this sentence?
Helped.
Exactly. Was helped is the action. Now, who is the subject of this sentence?
Father.
Exactly. And now this subject it comes towards the end of the sentence and there is a by. So what does that mean?
Passive.
Exactly. This is passive voice. Is Jack doing the helping or is the helping being done to Jack?
The help is done to Jack.
Exactly. So Jack is the object of the sentence. And when the object is in the front, what kind of sentence is it?
Passive.
Exactly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Number 2.
Jack's father helped him to do his math homework.
And what voice is this in? Active or passive voice?
It's passive. No, it's active.
Exactly. And how do you know that it's active?
The father is object which came before the verb.
Close. Father is the subject because he is, at the beginning of the sentence and he is the one doing the action, right? So that's how you know it's active. Cool. What about number 3?
Passive. Have you read the book? Read the new book by Michael
Morris.
Morris.
Exactly. And you're right. It is passive. What about number 4?
It's passive. That book was written by Michael Morris.
Yes. Number 5.
Pato was given an award for his behavior.
For his bravery.
Bravery, okay.
Yeah. Active or passive?
Active.
Why would you say that? No, I could be messing with you. It could actually be active. But I want you to know what was your reasoning. Like, what were you thinking when you said that this was a sentence in active voice?
Yeah, it's like I'm getting not sure. Like,
Right. Okay. Well, I understand, where you're coming from because there's no by, right, in the sentence. So you don't know. So remember, I told you by is not a definitive indicator that a sentence is passive. because sometimes the by, like you can remove it from the sentence and it won't make a difference. But you know that this is a sentence in passive voice because Peter, okay, how do we find out if Peter is the subject, then Peter is in the beginning of the sentence, so okay, it's active. But if Peter is an object and it's in the beginning of the sentence, then the sentence is passive. So how do we find out if Peter is a subject or an object? We ask the question, okay, what is the verb in this sentence? What is the action?
Was given award.
Exactly, was given. Now, is Peter giving the award or is Peter receiving the award?
He's receiving the award.
Exactly. That makes him the subject or the object?
Subject.
Object. If Peter was giving the award, like he is, okay, so Peter is giving the award to Anand for her bravery, right? So Peter is doing the action. He is doing the giving, which is incorrect English, but it serves to explain my purpose. But in this case, somebody else is giving Peter the award. So Peter is the recipient of the award. So he becomes the object. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And so since Peter is the object and he is at the beginning of the sentence, what kind of a sentence is it?
Active.
Try again.
It's passive.
Passive. So I will explain further why. Now, see, in passive voice, the object is always in the beginning of the sentence. Okay. So in active voice, it is the subject because remember, what is the focus of the sentence? Focus of the sentence is the beginning of the sentence. So when the focus of the sentence is the subject and it's at the beginning of the sentence, then that is active voice. But since in the sentence we were just talking about, Peter is the focus of the sentence and Peter is the object. So the sentence is passive voice. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now I will stop sharing my screen because we've come to the end of our demo class. But before we go, do you have any questions for me? Thoughts, comments, concerns? Yes?
I don't have any questions.
You don't have any questions? Okay. Do you have, is somebody else there who has any questions or are we good?
No.
Okay, cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Anand. This was...
Hello,
Oh,
I am her. Hello, ma'am. I
hi.
am her uncle.
Yes.
I am
Hello.
her uncle. Yeah, I think the class was okay, good. Now I will discuss with Jagriti madam and then we'll continue, madam.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And just inform the person that you are in contact with and then he will tell me. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Cool. Well, thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.